Recording in progress.
This segment is all about selling your business in today's economy. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get published to lead their fields, educate consumers, and to grow their businesses. Joining me on this segment is Michael Metzger with Murphy Business Sales. Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your work and specifically who are the types of clients that you help?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a certified business intermediary. It's just a fancy way of saying I'm a business broker. So I help owners of well-established, profitable, privately held companies determine the value of those companies and then go to market confidentially to find the right buyer at the best price.
Excellent. So for the business owners that you help, they're great at growing their businesses, but how great are they at selling their businesses? Do they even know where to start? What's on their mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to your point, most business owners are experts in their field. They've built a thriving company. They've employed a number of employees over the years. They put their raised their family, put their family through college, and they do what they do very well. But it's not often that you actually sell a business. Maybe once or twice in in your lifetime or in your career. So that's where a professional broker can allow the business owner to continue focusing on the business. What you don't want to do is let your foot off the gas while you're going to market and looking for a buyer. And I've seen that happen before where business looks great out of the gate, but the seller begins to take their foot off the gas. And by the time the buyer comes to the table, the business is in decline. And that tells a very different story. So my job is to sell the company while the owner continues to run the business and run the shop.
In terms of selling a business, are there any myths or misconceptions out there or any preconceived notions people have about selling a business?
I think one of the biggest, let's call it challenges that I see, Mark, is many business owners don't really understand the value of their company. In some cases, they've kind of guessed what they think their company is worth, or even backed into it based on what they think they need for retirement, for example, which is not necessarily the right methodology to calculate the value of a business. So it's important that even 5 or 10 years before you're ready to sell, understanding the value of your company and then understanding the value drivers. What levers can you pull early on to start optimizing that business so that you get the biggest bang for the buck when it's time to sell? And that's something that I work with business owners every day on.
So seeing this is a lot more complex than selling a home, for example, what's a good lead time? How much time should people allow to prepare the business for sale?
Yeah. So on average, Mark, it takes, if you look at statistics across the entire small business spectrum, across time and geography, the average time it takes to sell a business is 10 months. I can tell you that I've done them in 3 months and I've done them in 3 years. It really just depends on the nature of the business, the market segment that it's in, and kind of general economic conditions. But as a rule of thumb, I tell my clients to expect that it's, plan on a year. Plan on a year for us to reach the market, find the buyer, negotiate the deal, go through the due diligence process, and close the transaction.
And, linked to that, is there such thing as a good or a bad time to sell a business? Is it kind of like the spring market in real estate, or when's the best time to sell a business?
There's not a lot of seasonality like there is in real estate. And what I tell folks is there's really never a recession for good businesses. So if you've got a good, solid performing business with demonstrated performance and a solid track record, there's always a market for that. Even in this day and age, where interest rates are rising, there's concerns about a looming recession, and so forth, there's still a very active market for good businesses. Certain types of businesses can be more challenging at certain times. So, for instance, coming out of the COVID crisis, there wasn't a huge appetite for restaurants and personal fitness businesses and hospitality type businesses. That's starting to come back, but that did wane during the pandemic. But by and large, there's always a market for good, solid, proven businesses.
Michael, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners sell their businesses? How did you get started?
Yeah, I have a checkered past, like most folks. I actually started my career in the Navy as an aviator. Did that for a number of years, and then was in corporate America, and learned some great skills there. Met some great folks. Really enjoyed what I did. But a little later in my career, I decided I wanted to get closer to. This will sound kind of corny, but the heartbeat of America. I really do believe that small business is the heartbeat of America. And I wanted to take some of the skills that I had developed in corporate America and be able to apply those to some smaller business owners and help them achieve their goals. And I got to tell you, it's incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. I've made some good, long-lasting friendships with mom and pops and folks who have built something out of nothing. I love that.
Thank you for your service. And before I ask you my last question, in regards to selling a business in today's climate, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel's important to share with business owners considering selling today?
If I had to leave you with one thought and leave business owners out there with one thought, I'll share with you the biggest challenge that I have in selling companies by far is if the entire value of the company is resting on the owner. So if you're the chief cook and bottle washer, you as the owner have all the client relationships, all the process knowledge in your head. You're doing hiring and firing, invoicing, and doing everything. You may have built a very successful business, but in the buyer's eye, it can be challenging for them to see themselves stepping into your position. So, this is great, but what happens when Mark leaves? Does this whole thing just fall apart, and I'm left with a business that's producing no revenue? So, my advice is to business owners. Early on in your process, start letting loose the reins a little bit. Start delegating to good, qualified members of your team. Build a team. Build a good, strong team. Give them responsibilities and start stepping away from the business. The more you do so, the easier it will be to assure a buyer that he or she will be able to sustain the value in that company after the close.
Sage advice. For business owners listening who would love to speak with you and perhaps get your help, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. You can always reach me by phone. My office phone is 804-601-8928. I'm here in Richmond, Virginia, but I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone, anywhere. And my email is m.metzger, Metzger, at murphybusiness, all one word, .com.
Michael, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Well, thank you, Mark. I've enjoyed it very much.
That was Michael Metzger with Murphy Business Sales, and this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish their books to educate consumers, lead their fields, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.